Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Oh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 73 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Digital Federal Credit Union, better known by all of us by now as just simply DCU. And when it comes to car and auto financing, DCU is the only place you got to go. Whether you're driving off the lot or refinancing, DCU can help you save on your next auto loan with rates as low as 1.49% APR. You heard me right, 1.49% APR. You can learn more at dcu.org/auto. Insured by the NCUA, membership required. Over the years, I can't even count the things that I've worked on with DCU. And I'm proud to have DCU as a sponsor of the Mistress Carrie podcast. Find them online at dcu.org/auto. All right, you're going to have to buckle up for this week's episode of the podcast because it is a good one. Of course, it's the week of Halloween, and it's my favorite day of the entire year. So I had to find a guest that was going to encompass all of the things about Halloween that I absolutely love. And I found the perfect guest, Cassandra Peterson. Wait, you don't know who Cassandra Peterson is? Oh, yes, you do. She's the woman that brought us ELVIRA. Yes, ELVIRA is on the Mistress Carrie podcast this week. Cassandra Peterson, the woman behind the Hollywood icon ELVIRA, Mistress of the Dark, has recently released her never-before-shared details about her life in her all-new tell-all memoir. The book was published to coincide with the 40th anniversary of ELVIRA and in conjunction with the author's 70th birthday. I know, Cassandra Peterson is 70. It's crazy. The book is called Yours Cruelly, ELVIRA, Memoirs of the Mistress of the Dark, and it came out last month. Cassandra Peterson has lived a full life, way too much to even fit into one memoir. So when I sat down to talk to her, where do you even begin? I have been a fan of ELVIRA's for years, and the fact that I got to sit down and talk to Cassandra Peterson about the music she loves, her upbringing, what it was like to start ELVIRA, and what the world has been like ever since. We talked about Elvis and the Groundlings and Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix, her 25-year marriage that ended in divorce, and her scandalous headlining-making relationship that she's had in secret for the last 19 years. There is no better way to celebrate Halloween on the Mistress Carrie podcast than with ELVIRA. So allow me to introduce you to Cassandra Peterson.
Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie. Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Cassandra Peterson is on the show.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm extra super good because I just found out my book, which I have 1,000 copies of here behind me. My book just hit number 4 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Congratulations.
I'm freaking out. I know. Thank you. I can't believe it.
That is got to be so strange for you because this is kind of the first thing that's just about you and not just about Elvira.
It is. It's the first time I've kind of discussed my personal life with anybody in 40 years.
Were you at all nervous? Like, talk to me about finishing the book. You send it to the editors and the producers, and then everybody says, okay, we're good to go. Was there even a thought that you were like, maybe this shouldn't come out?
Yes, I had a lot of those thoughts. I'm still having them. In the middle of the night, I wake up going, why did I talk about that? You know, I have so many things. I just like spilled the beans and I thought, screw it. I'm turning 70. What have I got to hide? What is it going to, the repercussions? What are they going to be? And actually nothing, because I have plenty of work. I have enough money. I'm okay. So I didn't, you know, I keep telling myself, don't worry about it. And now I'm very happy. I still have a few things I'm nervous about. People don't like me talking about.
Was it the 70th birthday that was kind of the catalyst for this? Or were you just like, this is COVID and I might as well just get this book together while I'm not doing anything else?
Yeah, well, it kind of a combination. First of all, I've been going to do it for 15 years. And I've been writing little bits and little essays and notes and this and that for the longest time. And I thought someday I'll write my autobiography. And everybody I know, all my friends have been saying, you've got to write a book. You just have too bizarre of a life. And finally, the pandemic, I mean, the pandemic is certainly not good, but it did give me the time to sit down and actually do the work that I had to do, because otherwise I was running around the country and doing all these different projects, and I never got the time that writing a book takes. And it takes a lot of time. Oh my God. When I got into it, I really didn't imagine how much time it would take. So, good thing I got a book deal and had to turn it in.
So it's a lot of work to write a book and you decide, okay, I'm going to do it. Did you have to call anybody to have them fill in blanks? Because it's a long career with a lot of crazy stories.
I got together with a lot of people, a lot of my old friends, and I asked them, information about, like, when I was in Vegas, my old choreographer, Jerry Jackson, I got together with him and asked him for info. I got together with my ex-manager, asked him for stuff, a lot of different people. And it's kind of funny. Some of the people I contacted, like some of my, the girls that were in the Las Vegas show with me when I was a showgirl, I contacted one of them, and they don't remember most of these stories. I mean, and they have a different version. It's so funny. I'll talk to people who have a completely different version of it. And it doesn't change the story. But for example, I mentioned in the very top of the book, my friend Donna Kaufman told me about the Elvira audition. And I remember waking up the day after I got married on my honeymoon and getting a call from her. She remembers me getting ready for my wedding. She said I was just getting into the dress, getting ready to be married. And she called. But, things like that. It's still the same outcome, but it's like that Japanese movie where everybody has their, what was that? Rastaman, I think. No,
yeah,
Rastaman.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Well, it's like that 3 sides to any story, your version, my version, and the truth. So it's in there somewhere.
It's in there somewhere. It didn't change the outcome, but it was the way I got there that other people would have their own version of that.
Well, it's a story of the girl from Kansas that ends up in the city of sin and then ends up on a date with Elvis, which, what?
I know, pretty odd, right? I mean, I think the oddest thing about that story was that when I was 14, I went to see Viva Las Vegas, that movie with Elvis and Anne Margaret. And I was already a huge Elvis fan and a huge Anne Margaret fan from Bye Bye Birdie. So I went to see that movie. And in some of the scenes, there's showgirls. And it was the first time I'd ever seen showgirls or knew there was such a thing. And I got it in my head, man, that was what I was going to be. And it didn't matter that I wasn't tall enough or pretty enough or talented enough. I just thought, that's what I'm going to do. And 3 years later, I went on vacation with my mom and dad and get kind of chosen out of the audience. Hey, quiet, phone. Chosen out of the audience to be in a show that they were just coming out with the next day. They were having auditions. So it was just, I don't know. I believe in manifesting things. And I really think that if you think about something hard enough and dream about it, and good and bad, so be careful what you think, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, good on your parents. They take you to Vegas, you get an audition, and they're like, okay. Can you imagine if they had said no, what would have happened?
Oh, well, they did say no at first. They totally said no. They said, are you out of your mind? We're not going to let you run around on stage with your clothes off, And so I had to go back to Colorado Springs with them after I got the part and argue with them for 3 months until I graduated high school. The show didn't start until the beginning of the end of summer. So I graduated high school, made my parents' life a living hell for 3 months until they would have done anything to get rid of me, I think. They had a lawyer and had to sign a waiver that said I could work in Vegas, even though I was underage. So they finally did it, but I threatened, cajoled, you wouldn't believe it. I was a really bad, a typical, horrible, every parent's nightmare teenager.
You have said in other interviews that you grew up always loving horror stuff.
I did.
And usually horror and rock and roll seem to kind of go together. Did you grow up loving rock and roll too?
Oh, hell yes. Are you kidding? I mean, the first vivid moment I have of rock and roll, hearing it, knowing what it was when I was 5 years old and I got, for Christmas, I got a little portable record player and the 45 of You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog by Elvis Presley. And that was it for me. I freaking loved rock and roll from then on out. And yeah, the horror thing came in like between second and third grade when I saw my first horror movie starring Vincent Price. And I was obsessed with it. I just wanted to see nothing but horror from that time on. And I started buying horror magazines and painting little model kits of Frankenstein and the Wolfman and all of that. So yeah, I really got into it. But you were 100% right that horror and rock and roll go together. Yeah, I can't tell you how many conventions I've been with where, well, they all kind of have a rock and roll element and a horror element,
Is that Vincent Price behind you in that picture with you as Elvira?
It is. Look at, where is he? Oh, there he is. This is the first day I met Vincent. Can you guys see it okay?
Yeah.
A little shiny. Yeah, the first day he came on my show, Movie Macabre, which I just couldn't believe. I mean, it was like a miracle had happened. Again, I feel like I manifested him. There I was with my childhood idol, Vincent Price, doing a show. And it was my show. I was like, what? I could barely breathe that day, but he was so freaking nice and funny and charming that he quickly just, put me at ease.
I mean, you get your first 45, get introduced to rock and roll, then you end up in Vegas as a showgirl on a date with Elvis.
I know, right? There's a lot of witchy stuff going on there, right?
Yeah. And there's something about the Jimmies in rock and roll. There's the Jim trifecta of Hendrix and Page and Morrison.
Who I never was lucky enough to meet.
But you did meet Hendrix and Jimmy Page, though, right?
I did. Jimmy Page and Jimmy. I got 2 out of the 3. Just like I met 3 out of the 4 Beatles. Eventually, finally, I never got to see them perform, which is probably the biggest regret in my life. But I did get to meet them, all except for John, who sadly was my favorite. And yeah, the Jimmies, it was awesome. I love Jimmy Page at that time, still do, and especially love Jimi Hendrix. I mean, while I was writing my book, I think I sat there and played. It was either Led Zeppelin or Hendrix the whole time I wrote my book, practically. I just love them. I can't get over them.
Well, Jimmy Page is perfect example of a guy that's rock and roll and horror, just because that's kind of his whole thing.
Yeah, is it really? I didn't know he was involved in horror.
Well, I mean, he lived in Aleister Crowley's house.
That's true. That's true. I never even thought about that.
So it's like all of that kind of occult and spooky, dark side of the world kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, he's so freaking amazing being with the Yardbirds, first of all, which I think is one of the best bands ever, the best guitar band, and then going on to form Led Zeppelin. I mean, I don't think people know that Jimmy Page is actually the person who put Led Zeppelin together. And he has played on every freaking rock album you can imagine because he was a session player before all that. So brilliant guy. Have you seen They Might Be Loud? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
With Jimmy Page. Oh my God, one of my favorite movies. And I am happy to say I'm a good friend of Jack White's, and I thought that movie was just freaking amazing.
Well, your career came up. You had to have just been in a cyclone of rock bands all the time as Elvira.
Yeah, you mean after I became Elvira?
Well, never mind the Vegas stuff, but Elvira just, it goes hand in hand with rock and roll. I mean,
it does. And I was invited to be a presenter at the Grammys, a presenter at the VMA Awards, where I got to meet all these bands. And before I was Elvira, I was a PA on Don Kirshner's rock concert. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that, but
I know what it is. I didn't get to watch it, but I know what it is.
Yeah, it was just the premier rock show, showcase on TV. So I worked on that for a couple of years and had the greatest time meeting everybody you can imagine. So I've just always been involved with rock. And one thing I didn't even get to in my book that I should have talked about is I was a DJ at KROQ here in LA, which was the top rock station. And I got to play any music I wanted. I got to go out, see bands, get their little cassette tape and play it on my show, which was amazing. I mean, you can't really do that so much these days if you're a DJ on commercial radio.
Yeah, it's hard to get that kind of freedom nowadays, but.
Yeah, so I've been, involved in rock my whole life. And then when I became Elvira, it was amazing how many rock venues I got invited to that I got to meet all of my, idols.
Well, Cassandra Peterson has always had a career outside of Elvira, but obviously Elvira is your most famous and notorious, I guess, role, although I feel kind of weird calling it a role because she kind of took over your whole life. But you had an experience that very few people could have. Maybe the guys in Kiss in the 70s, where as soon as you took it off, you could walk down the street. And even though Elvira was world famous, Cassandra Peterson could still kind of have a normal life.
Oh, totally normal. That was one of the absolute best things about being this character, was that when I took off all the drag, I could walk around, I walked among them and nobody noticed me. Now, of course, as time goes on, they're noticing me and recognizing me a little bit more. But my entire life, I spent just as a normal person. Didn't have to wear makeup to the grocery store. My child had a normal life because nobody was running up to me asking for autographs or doing any of that. So that was absolutely the best part. And you're right. There's Gene Simmons. There's maybe Alice Cooper. I mean, who else? Pee Wee Herman. We're part of a very, very exclusive club, us character people.
And you got to do it in a time where social media wasn't trying to unmask you too, because it wouldn't be possible nowadays to be
Probably
famous like that and to still have nobody know who you were in real life.
Yeah, you're right about that. With the advent of the computer and the internet, things definitely went south as far as that was concerned. I think someone would have a very hard time being a secretive character nowadays.
Did anybody ever talk to you about Elvira, to you, not knowing you were her?
Oh, yeah. Happened all the time. I'd go to parties and stuff and people would just bring up Elvira randomly and people would just start yakking away about her. And I just usually kept my mouth shut. The thing I loved the most was when I met somebody And I would be introduced to them and they'd say, oh, this is Cassandra Peterson. I'd go, oh, hi, how are you? Hi. And then 2 seconds later, they'd say, she plays Elvira. And then, oh my God, you're so nice. I kind of hated that. But that happened a lot too.
What's the most strange, awkward, random kind of interaction you've had with a fan because you play Elvira?
I've had a lot of them. I had one in my very early days was at KHJ, where I was on just locally here in LA and a small TV station. I had a little dressing room out in the back, and there was this creepy guy hanging around out there in the alley. And I was Elvira, and the security guards warned me, be careful of this guy. He's hanging around waiting for you to come out. And I went in the dressing room, took off all my makeup, took everything, and then came out. And here was this creepy guy, and he was going, is Elvira coming out soon? And I go, yeah, she's going to be out in just a few minutes. Just wait right here. And I took off in my car. It was awesome. Maybe he's still waiting there. We don't know. 20, 40 years later.
I bring it up because I want to make it on this awkward list. So I have to tell you this story that when I was younger, I went to a Halloween party dressed as Elvira.
Sweet. I can see that. You look like you would fit the character.
I had the dress. I had the wig. I spent countless time trying to perfect your eye makeup, did the whole thing. And that was the night that I decided I was going to lose my virginity, and I was dressed up like Elvira.
What? Holy crap. Wow. Boy, you made some guy's dream come true.
So he may have never gotten to have sex with you, but I guess I was you by proxy.
Yeah, boy, is he lucky. Yeah, my husband tried to talk me into getting that in the outfit and, do it. And I was like, no, I will screw up my wig. I'm going to mess up my makeup. I'm too uncomfortable. Yeah, so I never did it. So sadly for him.
You guys were together 25 years and you never gave him the Elvira experience, not once?
Not once, not once.
Damn.
I did not want to mess up my hair. I know, that's pathetic, right?
Well, when I started on the radio, I used to be on the air at night, and the listeners, it's again rock and horror, whatever. They gave me the name Mistress Carrie because they would call up and say, I spend every night with you. It's like there's another woman in my life and my wife knows about it. And so they just started organically calling me Mistress Carrie like 23 years ago. And people, when I would introduce myself or say, oh yeah, you got to come on my radio show, Mistress Carrie, they'd go, like Elvira, Mistress? And I'd be like, there's only one Elvira, okay?
Yeah, but you got a little bit of that in there. That's good.
Yeah, a little attitude.
And I don't have to sue you or anything, so we're all good.
No. Trust me, it's Elvira is safe. Now I know that because you wrote this book, there have been mentions about you retiring. Is that going to happen? And does Elvira retire with you, or are they going to try to cram somebody in that dress? Because it's going to be hard to fill that bra, Cassandra.
Yeah, I tried that route. I tried getting somebody. I did a 4-part reality show called Search for the Next Elvira, where we had 2,000 people vying to play the next Elvira. We winnowed it down to 10, and then we picked the best one. And then we tried to pawn her off at different parades in Nebraska and the different venues, and they just weren't buying it. They weren't having it. It didn't work out. I was bummed out because I thought I would love to be like Santa Claus, where you can go to a mall and sit on Elvira's lap and tell her what you want for Halloween. I knew I'd have to recruit other Elviras, but just didn't work out. It was a fun show to do, though, so that was okay. But I don't know, every single decade I say, I started Elvira when I was 30. I said, I'm going to retire when I'm 40. And then I said, I'm going to retire when I'm 50. And then it was 60. And now it's 70. And I'm like, oh my God, do I really want to be doing this when I'm 80? I don't know.
Did you sell your soul to Satan? Because you don't look 70.
Thank you. I did sell my soul to Satan. I hope the bill doesn't come due anytime soon. I'll look like the crypt keeper. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still hanging in there. So, but the other day I saw Jane Fonda. The woman's like 82, 85. I don't know what she is, but she looks fantastic. And then I said, maybe I can still play Elvira. I don't know. I think even if I quit playing the character, that Elvira will still continue without me. Just the image, kind of like Santa Claus, because there isn't really a Santa Claus.
Wait, really? Don't tell anybody that.
Sorry. Anyway, so I think the image could still live on without me doing it.
Well, Elvira's image has been on everything. What's the craziest piece of merch? I mean, you've been on pinball machines and obviously your Halloween costumes, obviously. But what are some of the things that you either couldn't believe you actually made or things you said, hell no, you're not making that?
I pretty much didn't say hell no to anything. If you read my book, you'll see I pretty much say yes to everything. That's what's happened through my life. And that worked for me sometimes not. But I think the wackiest thing I had was this little smelly thing that hangs in your car, on the mirror. It smells bad. I don't know what it smelled like, but a really crazy item I have coming out in just a week or two is an Elvira Chia pet.
What?
My hair grows. I know, it's so dorky, but I thought it'd be really fun, I don't know, from people who remember Chia Pets from God knows whenever they came out, the 70s or something.
People are still, if you go on TikTok, people are still playing with Chia Pets all the time.
Okay, well, they got an Elvira one coming down the pike any day now.
When you get yourself together to write a book, you've got to kind of become nostalgic over things. I don't know about you, but I'm the kind of person that finds sentimental value in everything. I'm not quite a hoarder, but I love to keep things. And with the career you've had and the experiences and the people that you've met, what are the things that you keep that you're like, you know what, this means something to me from your career? I mean, you could have a whole house just filled with Elvira stuff if you weren't careful.
I know, and I would if it wasn't for my 4 storage units that I pay a fortune for, where I have everything that you could ever imagine stuffed in there. It's funny, I do keep everything. Like for my book, I had this old letter that Elvis wrote to me. I had a drawing from the the first guy I slept with. I don't know if it took, but I slept with him, and he drew a little picture of us the next day. I have all my old diaries from the time I was like 7 or 8 till now. I have every letter I ever got from everybody. So I have an insane amount of stuff, and every single backstage pass from every band I've ever seen in my life. And some drumsticks, some guitar picks, you name it. I have got all that junk. I cannot throw anything away. I'll be on an episode of Hoarders probably next month.
What is one of the best concerts or the best concert you've ever seen?
Oh my God, the best. Okay. Man. Okay. I saw the Rolling Stones really early, probably in 68 or something. That was pretty awesome. Prince, I've got to say, although Prince and Michael Jackson weren't I love both of them, especially Prince, but they weren't my number one favorite kind of music. But I've got to say, they put on the best show I've ever seen. And Queen, oh my God, Queen, Freddie Mercury.
See, now that's a regret that I don't have, that I never got to see Freddie Mercury live.
Oh my God. I got not only to see him, well, I have a little story about Freddie and me. There was no sex involved because, Freddie. Anyway, but
hey, you can't make gay jokes now, Cassandra Peterson.
I'm sorry.
Not because you can't make them, but because you're in a relationship with a woman. We just found out.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm going to stop talking about that. but I did have an awesome time with Queen, and Freddie and I shared something in common. You'll have to read the book about that. But that was one of the most amazing concerts. Oh my God. He was at the Forum here in LA. And the audience, it was just zillions of people. And it was just mind-blowing how great they were. I'll tell you another person who I've seen in concert who I think is one of the best people all time, and that is Jack White. On his own or in White Stripes, I thought he has the energy of a Led Zeppelin, of a Jimi Hendrix. You know, he's got this thing that
it's a very like reincarnated old rock and roll soul.
It is. I mean, I hadn't been as excited about it, seeing a rock performance in a couple of decades when I saw his show, and I've seen it now a million times. But he really has that energy of. I was telling him it's so much like Led Zeppelin or like Hendrix. That's, you know, he's like very unique, very one of a kind.
When you look back at your career, especially the time as Elvira, being this buxom, sexy, and you look at the world the way that it is now and the way that women are trying to move things forward, especially with the part in your book where you talk about Wilt Chamberlain and the Me Too movement, do you have any kind of regrets about Elvira and the way she was, or how have you kind of, looking back at your entire career, kind of, how do you look at it as a whole now?
Well, in the book, I list a lot of times. I mean, I was a go-go dancer, then I was a showgirl. And then when I came to Hollywood, I was getting parts. I was always getting cast as a showgirl, a stripper, a hooker, you know, that was the parts. I think it had to do with my figure, I imagine.
Well, and you're hot as balls.
Oh, thank you. My God. Anyway, I always got those parts. I knew I was never going to play the mom in a commercial, you know, that just was not a part I would get cast as. But yeah, I went through some tough times with men, you know, and I didn't talk about it as much until I talked about it in my book because the Me Too movement had come out. And I just, I don't know. I don't regret anything I did at all, but I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm rambling. I'm not sure I'm answering your question.
Well, no, but have women ever given you crap about the things you've done in your career because they thought maybe it objectified women as a whole?
Oh, yeah, they have. And I mean, I see it the opposite way. I don't see Elvira as a sexual object. Elvira, I see her as a very strong, independent, take no prisoners kind of I'll kick your ass character. But women, there are a few women who think of her as, oh, you're exploiting your body and you're showing out. And I'm going, you know what? I got this body. What am I supposed to do? Cover it up, hide it? That's how I was born. I can't help it. I'm going to utilize it. I'm going to, you know, be proud of it. And I hope women that read this book, you know, will think about themselves that way. Why do you have to cover yourself up or hide or be ashamed because you have breasts? Oh my God, it's so horrible. Yeah, you know, I don't know. I'm just rambling along here, but I don't know. It's just horrible. It really is what happens to women. I'm sure you have many instances in your life. You're a very beautiful woman that you've had.
Well, we all get asked those questions, right? When you have bright purple hair. I can't tell you in the last however many years it's been. I mean, it's literally been purple for over 30 years now. How many times I've been asked, does the carpet match the drapes? I can't imagine you could even count the number of times someone's asked you if your boobs were real.
Oh God. I mean, a billion times. And the same, the carpet and the drapes thing, because I'm a redhead, you know?
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, like what? Why do you even have to get asked that?
If you weren't such a creep that asked me that question, maybe you'd have a chance of finding out, asshole. That's what I say to them.
Good. Oh, I like it. Good answer. I'm going to write that down.
And you also kind of violate the rule too that like hot chicks can't be funny because you were a groundling.
That is true. That was a really funny thing back in the 70s when I started doing comedy at the Groundlings. There were no comedians before that didn't. It was really weird. If you were pretty, you couldn't be funny. If you were funny, you had to look dumpy or something. You know, all the comedians, it's sad to say, were like Joan Rivers before plastic surgery and Toady Fields, who was chubby. And all of these women, Phyllis Diller, who looked like, she set her hair on fire. You had to look goofy. And I mean, I loved all those women comedians. I loved them. But pretty women didn't do comedy. And I think that's changing now. It doesn't matter how you look. You can be funny. If you're ugly or pretty or whatever you are, you can still be funny. It's very much a comedy business is very much an old boys club. Very, very much hard for women to break in any I don't know what to say. I don't know. It is harder for women. And I think they have to work twice as hard to get anywhere in comedy. I think all the women on Saturday Night Live have to be twice as funny and work twice as hard. It's, that way in comedy, and it's that way in a lot of other businesses. It's not exclusive to show business. That's for damn sure.
What are you going to do with all your Elvira stuff? Like, what is the legacy of Elvira? A Vegas museum? I mean, you got all this stuff you're paying for storage units. You're going to want to put this someplace where we can all enjoy it, right? Yeah, well, coming up not too long from now, after Halloween, I am going to be auctioning off a lot of my stuff. No. Yes, I am keeping my little red velvet sofa. I'm keeping my candelabra. I'm keeping my macabre mobile. But a lot of the smaller things that I've collected throughout my life, I've just decided it's time to get rid of them. I just can't keep adding more and more and more storage and paying for more and more. I just think it's time for fans to be able to enjoy it too. I mean, what am I going to do? I don't want to keep it and then give it to my child that has to deal with it. Does she throw it away? Is she growing up wanting to be involved in show business at all? Not really. Although she's an awesome guitar player. Really? So, yeah, really good guitar player. So you never know. She might go that way. Because maybe it was the fact that you were able to give her such a normal childhood that she didn't feel like she kind of needed to follow in your footsteps. Possibly. Yeah. Who knows? Although, I don't know. I mean, it was more normal than it would have been if Elvira was just her mom, but it wasn't that normal. Right. It was still pretty rock and rolly. I was taking her to concerts and blasting music, and so she got a big dose of that, and luckily loves music and loves playing music. Is it weird for you that everybody that it was such a huge story when you finally talked about your relationship now? Are you surprised that everyone's so surprised? Kind of. I'm like, wow, I'm a really good secret keeper. And all my close friends and relatives know and have known for 19 years. And they're obviously really loyal because nobody leaked it. Seriously, you tested your friendships and your relationships in a major way. Yep. I really am amazed that it stayed out of the public, eye this long. I couldn't believe it. And, T, my partner, and I work together. She's my assistant. We go on the road together. She does all the heavy lifting, literally carrying all our bags and setting up everything and just taking care of me, booking the hotels and the flights and doing all of that work. And so we're always together, and people always see us together at appearances. So I'm really shocked nobody ever thought something was going on. It's hard to believe. I can only imagine how many times someone's gone up to T trying to get your phone number or get access to you, and the whole time she's just going, bro, you don't got a shot, bro. That did happen a lot. And the other funny thing is how many times she got hit on. You wouldn't believe. She was getting hit on by women, by men, you name it. Were you getting ready to throw punches? Almost. I'd be sitting right next to her going, giving them the spank eye. It was so funny, but I couldn't say anything. Oh my God. It was hilarious. You'd see these women just hit. No, she's very attractive and very androgynous. So she gets hit on by women as much as men. And yeah, that was kind of weird. Yeah, I'd be 1 inch away from punching someone. Well, I couldn't I couldn't have Halloween season, which is my favorite season of the year, which I'm sure it's your season too. I couldn't have it go by without having you on the show. And your book is this fascinating, kind of strange journey. Your life had to be a book. So thank you for sharing it with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I shared just about everything in there. There's sex, there's nudity, there's violence. It's all in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm very envious of someone that can be so open and honest and unapologetically themselves. And maybe that's something that comes with getting older. Maybe that comes with financial security. Maybe it just comes with not giving a shit anymore. Whatever it is.
It's all three of those things. You named exactly what it is. It's getting older. It's having financial security. And it's like, really like, I don't give a shit. What do I have to lose? You know, put it all out there. It's not good to hold secrets in. It gives you gas.
Once you release a book, the obviously next question is there going to be a movie about your life, and who's going to play you?
I really hope there is a movie about my life. And I've been thinking who could play me. And I decided Dolly Parton. He's the only one with the right equipment. I don't know who the hell else could play me. I don't know who it would be. Somebody funny. It'd have to be a comedian.
Because just like Freddie Mercury and all of the artists that we've been talking about, like, people want to know these stories of the people that are beloved in their lives. And Elvira has played such a huge role for so long in people's lives. But your story is so fascinating. Somebody's got to play you. And look, there's CGI. They can give anybody your boobs if they try hard enough.
Yeah, they probably can. I mean, the boobs are the least of it, right?
Right.
Yeah, but there would have to be somebody. There'd probably have to be several actors. Because they'd have to play me from being a tiny baby until being 70. That would cover quite the gamut there. So I'd say there maybe had to be, 7 of them or something?
Right. There's 7 different Cassandras. Is there anything left? I'll let you go after this question. Is there anything left for you that you haven't done? A goal now that you're kind of putting a bow on everything? The book is out. What's something that now that COVID, hopefully in 2022, is going to kind of go away? What's a life goal that you have not done yet?
Pardon me. The 3 things are making a movie of my life, making a documentary, definitely, of my life. And the 3rd thing is I am just dying to do a Broadway play of Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. You know, like Legally Blonde or Hairspray.
Yeah.
A weirdo who follows her dream and accomplishes that. Pardon me. So as soon as this is all wrapped up, I'm really looking forward to starting work on those projects. Excuse me, I'm gagging here.
No, it's all right. If you have, if you're coughing during a pandemic and I'm interviewing you through the internet, then I don't have to worry about getting coughed on.
Yeah, you're just happy that we're on Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I mean, you could set yourself up where you could turn into an EGOT.
Wow, what's that?
That's an EGOT is a person that wins an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. Yeah. So if you're gonna have a Broadway play, yeah, why not?
Yeah. Well, you never know. I just got on the New York Times bestseller list, so I'm like, that is gonna help. I know it will. So I'm very, very excited about those projects.
Are the kids getting copies of the book when they trick or treat?
That's a good idea. I have about as you can see, I've got like enough books here. Yeah, that is a perfect thing to give the kids. Yeah, I don't know that if anybody under maybe 14 should read it. But, yeah, maybe I'll save it for the older trick-or-treaters.
You seem like somebody that gives full-size candy bars to the trick-or-treaters, though.
Definitely. Yeah. Sometimes I'm never home for trick-or-treaters. I was home one time and I didn't realize it was Halloween because every night is Halloween. And for me in October, I literally didn't realize it was Halloween. And I stopped at home for 2 seconds. Trick-or-treaters came to the door and I just had to start giving them money. I just pulled out my wallet and said, here, go away. No.
Here's a can of soup. Happy Halloween.
Yeah, right. Here's a couple of cans of tuna and an old 8-track tape of Hey Frampton Comes Alive. I don't know.
Cassandra, thank you so much for the generosity of your time, and thank you for sharing all of your crazy stories in your amazing life in your new book.
Thank you so much. I really had fun doing this interview. It was awesome to talk about all the rock and roll aspect.
Yes, rock chicks got to stick together.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much. Bye.
There she is, Cassandra Peterson, otherwise known as Elvira. Her memoir, Yours Cruelly, Elvira, Memoirs of the Mistress of the Dark, is available everywhere. And we couldn't even scratch the surface of the stories that are in there. First of all, she knows everyone. Second of all, she's got a story about everyone. And third of all, she's Elvira. I can't wait to see if she ends up making the movie and who's going to play her and the documentary and the stage play and all of it. And she's probably still horrified that I told her the story about losing my virginity, but what can you do? If you liked what you heard, don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss anything from the Mistress Carrie podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday. Plus, if you subscribe, you get the Sit Reps. The Situation Report comes out every weekday, and it gives you all of your rock news, music headlines, and industry info in less than 5 minutes. You can get all of the links to find Cassandra Peterson and Elvira in the show notes of this episode. And while you're there, you can also check out the corresponding playlist with all of the music that we talked about in this interview. Once again, thanks to our sponsor, Digital Federal Credit Union. You can find them at dcu.org. The Mistress Carrie Podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift the Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Ooh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of an LG wash tower with ultra-large capacity, serving up a powerful yet gentle clean in just 29 minutes. Making this the sound of savings on the best appliance brands. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Get up to 25% off the LG wash tower with ultra-large capacity and reduced wash time. Pricing valid January 5th through January 25th, 2023. Gas dryer extra. U.S. only. See store or online for details.